Oh, hey, didn't see you there. It's Dad Gaming here. This is Zach, and I just finished God of War Ragnarok on the PlayStation 5. I'd love to talk to you about it, so let me put this down and we'll jump right in it. So this takes place just after the events of the last game. Kratos and Atreus are back, and Atreus is a little bit older. Kratos is a little bit older. Um, there's returning characters, there is new characters, and it's their journey through the Nine Realms, really just dealing with uh, personal battles, grief, loss, struggles with finding themselves and how to be better. It's a big thing that you hear a lot throughout the game. Being better. Um, so the relationships are the focal point of this. They bring in new characters like Odin and Thor, and there are a few others. I don't want to spoil too much about the story, so I will leave it at the story itself is well told. It's very well told, but it's kind of predictable throughout the game. You kind of know what's gonna happen, and even if you were wrong, you're probably not going to be very wrong. But it doesn't matter because the way it's told through the relationships and the different story devices that they use, you feel it still. And that's a big deal. Is you feel the story no matter what. You're constantly like, oh, there are times where you might choke up a little bit because there's some very heartwarming moments, some very funny, and it's just well told. Santa Monica Studios did a very good job telling a story that normally would be boring. Here I am to say it. So let's talk a little bit about the graphics, the character design, the world design, a little bit about how all that looks. So first off, the atmospheric effects or weather effects are absolutely breathtaking. Snow, rain, thunder, especially the lightning and thunder, sandstorms, fog, all of that looks really good. When you're in caves, you feel the darkness and the dampness of the caves. When you're in a boat, the water flowing by you, just amazing. The water in this game is amazing. The grass and the plant life reacting to wind and movement all looks really good. And then you have like the detail in the plant life and backgrounds, endemic life that's hidden around bugs and small creatures, or there's places where there's elk or other animals just hanging around doing their thing. It all looks great. Birds flying, that's another thing you see a lot though, which is just amazing. And then you get to the worlds themselves, the background, the actual terrain, all just absolutely amazing. There is obvious care in the textures and the design and layout of how everything should look, because let me tell you, even though there are so many different environments that you're going to visit, they all look amazing. Normally, even when you're in a place for a small little bit of time, it seems like those places aren't as detailed as the others, but even the places that you don't visit very often have lots of detail. There's a tavern that you'll visit, very brief, but if you look around, you'll be able to see things in there. It's just amazing. Then you have like the characters themselves, which they're stunning. The facial expressions especially tell a story all on their own. How little movements of the eyes and mouth and where they're looking, and the smirks and stuff. Those are just absolutely amazing, and it's just how someone put so much care into this is just absolutely stunning. So then you have stuff like the actual just overall graphics, which is wonderful. This game definitely looks next gen, and Santa Monica Studios, I mean, this is what they're doing for now. Soon it's going to be. I mean, they've always done great work, but they're definitely putting in the effort on this one. It looks just absolutely stunning. All right, so let's talk about the actual gameplay now. Combat and traversal is similar to the last game, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's solid, and since they had a game to work out the bugs, it definitely feels pretty good in this one. There are some things I ran into some issues like finding the right spot to get the prompt to pop up so I could interact with something, but it was minor at best. I mean, there was not very many times, and it was just usually you need to turn the camera or scoot back a little bit. It's nothing major or game breaking. Combat is fun with the parries and the dodging. It's really emphasized in combat this time, and the combat itself isn't so varied. I heard some people talking about how there are a lot of different enemies, but there really aren't that many different enemies. There's just enemies that look different because they all generally act the same. So they have like 3 attacks generally, and it does become easy, to once you've played for a bit to get the rhythm of combat. But it gets turned up when there are multiple different types of enemies coming at you all at once, and then you have mini boss characters that are just, some of them are brutal. You'll be replaying them a few different times, and there are plenty of little hidden special bosses, mini bosses that you can encounter, and some of them are pretty easy, some of them are over the top ridiculously. You'll have to go off, overpower yourself, and come back and fight them. I did. It was great though. I thoroughly enjoyed the combat between the various. You get 3 different weapons, and you have a shield, and then you have your Spartan Rage, of course. You have relics, which are special items, and then you have that's it. Yeah. That you can equip. So these things change the way that you're going to be fighting in combat or dealing with enemies, and they do different things. You have some that will stun an enemy, or do a status effect on an enemy, or slow down time for a second and allow you to do some movements or plan or whatever. You have mid-range, long range, and a up close combat weapon. So these vary how you're going to fight in battle, obviously. Some enemies require a specific element. So if for instance an enemy has a fire bar over their health, you have to use the axe to break that guard to be able to actually start damaging it, or it'll take a lot longer to kill. Or it's just really a well done combat system. There are a lot of little tricks and things that you'll learn as you play throughout the game and experience new things and find new items, and there are so many different weapons and pommels, or handles, or hilts for your weapons to change the different status boosts that it gets. And then you have armor, so you have 3 different pieces of armor, and there are so many different armors that you can equip on those. Plus your shield has 2 pieces. You have your shield and then the rond that you can change out that does different things as well. So there are tons of customization options in this. And then with your companion, the companion system in this game I didn't care for so much, and this is my one gripe that I had about the game in general, is I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to come back to that in a second. So your companion, they have armor, which doesn't do anything. It's all cosmetic. And then they have their weapon, generally a bow. And then they have runic magic, and then their skill tree, which the skill tree is pretty expansive too. You have skills, and then you can master those skills and give them like a bonus boost that once you've completed enough usages of that skill, which I thought was really cool. It made me want to use those skills more often, so I find places where I'm doing certain combos or certain type of attack so I could boost up that specific thing, so if I used it later it was better. And I don't know, it just changed the way I was going about combat. I really enjoyed that. You have tons of collectibles in this. The ravens are back, and then there are artifacts that you can find and sell to the blacksmith Brock and Sindri, which are back. And then there are so many little things that you can do to experience in this game. It's great. So your companion system. You have Atreus with you, or sometimes you'll actually play as Atreus and have a different companion, or sometimes you'll have a different companion as Kratos. And I don't want to spoil anything about that, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I felt that when you played as Atreus, it really slowed the game down, and it felt like unnecessary filler just to pad out the game length. It never really added much to my experience. I didn't feel like it had a place in there. I'm playing a God of War game, and I've been with Kratos for so many games since the PlayStation 2, and it just didn't feel like it fit in this. I get what they were trying to do with it, but to me, I don't think it worked. Thank you for trying, though, Santa Monica Studios, because we appreciate innovation, even if it does fail. And for me, this one failed. I think that it could work, but I think that instead of controlling Atreus, you should have just continued to control Kratos, and then swapped out your companions throughout the story for whatever reason, because you follow Kratos. It's a God of War game. But minor gripe aside, even after those, even with those, I still think, yeah, great. All right. So other than that, there experience points, there's trials and stuff like that you can do. Fantastic. The puzzles weren't very difficult ever. I didn't find any puzzles difficult, actually. Most of the puzzles were pretty easy to solve, and if you had any trouble figuring the puzzle out right away, your companion would say something, or you just look around and then it would become obvious. So I didn't find the puzzles too hard. They weren't bad, though. They definitely they were fun at times. Other times they were just a little bit tedious and time consuming. But I never felt that they were bad. But yeah, so overall good. Let's talk about the sound and music.
Something.
Wow. I mean, really, you can't there's not much you can say again negative about this. It is beautiful. It sets the tone of whatever you're doing. It music just enhances everything. It's very well composed. It's very fitting, and it's never repetitive. It's never annoying. It's always enhancing the experience. They did a very, very, very good job with this. The sound effects all sound like they fit with what they're trying to um, represent. Metal on metal, or the thwack of a bowstring. Just everything sounds really good, and it's very detailed too. Footsteps and winds and the crack and snap of thunder. It's really well done. There's not much you can say negative. The voice acting. Oh my gosh, let me tell you, the small, subtle emotion that you can feel in some of the characters when they're speaking. It just adds to the game as a whole, especially Kratos. As you're journeying with him and he is growing as a character, that you can hear his tones subtly shift in the way he's talking with Atreus or other characters, which it's great. Mimir is back, and he is sarcastic and snarky as ever. He's great. Atreus, his actor, oh gosh, it was fantastic. You feel the emotion. You feel what they're trying to get. They're clear. It was well done. Very well done. On that, though, this is probably my biggest problem when it comes to anything with this game. And I'm going to talk about that here in actually the next part. Here I am to say it up. All right, so everything about this game, super awesome, super great. Not really anything that I can say negative. So let's talk about things that I didn't like about this. So there are a lot of little fetch quests that you do, and you start to notice that there is a pattern to everything. Talking, fighting, talking, fighting, talking, fighting. Just fine. Most games are that way. It's great. It's fine. The Atreus scenes, I didn't like that at all. They were fine for their story content and the actors and actresses that you encounter. There's one in particular section that you'll go on with Atreus that's a little bit fun. It's unique, but again, the only purpose it is just to set up a piece of the story, which could have been done elsewhere, another way. But I'm not going to say that it is a reason to not play this game, because it is totally acceptable. It's just not my favorite part of the game. The one part of the game that I really had a problem with was Odin. I didn't like Odin. Thor, Sif, Thrud, and all these other characters that you're going to meet in Asgard, Heimdall, whatever, their accents don't match what they should be. And that, to me, was a huge problem. As soon as Thor was acceptable, Sif was acceptable, Thrud was okay. Their actors and actresses were great. I didn't have a problem with the actual acting of them. But Odin, his voice and character design were, to me, so bad that every time he was on the screen, there was never a time when I was like, that guy looks like he could be Odin. Or, yeah, that guy sounds like he would be Odin. I was so let down by Odin to me, the voice actor himself was actually a very talented voice actor, and the way that he talked and stuff like that was great. You could definitely tell that he knew how to voice act, and he did fine. His voice just didn't match the character, and with the character design on top of that, kind of reminded me of like a Walmart version of George Carlin, and I didn't like that at all. I really, really did not like Odin's character at all. I think that Thor was acceptable with the voice. The design I had no problem with. A lot of people had problems with that. I did not have a problem with his overall design. His voice actor was great. His voice fit the character. Odin just to me I just couldn't get it. I did not like Odin. So anyways, those are the things I didn't like. Those two things. Companion system or playing as Atreus, and the lack of accents, and I guess that's three things. Lack of accents and Odin as a whole. Did not like Odin at all. So what's my final conclusion? Fantastic story, characters, gameplay, all the systems and mechanics of the game are solid, and they add to the game. You're constantly being pushed forward through the story and the progression of how your character is actually doing through the growth. And the world looks beautiful. The sound is awesome. The only thing that I don't like is Odin and the accents, and the companion system could have used some tweaking, I think. I think that's a better way to put it. So overall, I'd say this game is a fantastic buy. Definitely worth the asking price. The collector's editions were a huge letdown. The Jotnar one was not so much of a letdown, but still not worth what they were asking for the cheap Mjolnir that's over there. But overall, I'd say it's a solid 8 out of 10 game. Definitely worth the asking price. And if you haven't gotten it, definitely go get it. Definitely go get it. Now, one thing that I want to talk about a little bit after all of that is said is, as a parent, someone who has this much time, you got full lives, kids to take care of, or a full-time job, a career, hobbies that outside of gaming. Is this a game that you can pick up anytime you want to go out and play? And the answer to that question is yes. So there are some things in this game. You have a journal of tasks, favors, and all the things that you're doing, side quests that you're currently doing, how to get them, with the compass system showing you kind of a general way to get to said area. The world's not being so overwhelmingly large, and you can literally just run around and find stuff if you need to. And the tutorial system in one of the worlds where they are not, I guess it's not really a tutorial, it's a skill brush up place where you can go and battle monsters over and over again and learn how to fight them. So with all of that, I'd say that this game is great for even parents. Pick it up, because you'll be able to play for an hour here, wait a week, get back into it, play an hour, and still be able to pick up and go. And the story bits aren't like 20 minutes of dialogue and story. It's just a little bit of story at a time as you're going, and you're always kind of moving forward, which made it great for me, who someone's got a full-time job, a kid to take care of, and other things that I'm working towards. So definitely kudos on that. So that definitely gets a parent approval for, or not just parent, it's anyone who just doesn't have a lot of free time. So definitely pick this game up. Thanks for coming by. Don't forget to share, comment down below what you would like to see me do next, and tell me if you've gotten it or are going to get it. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time on the next review.